Previously in Solo Leveling Season 2, the story reached a turning point as Jinwoo brought an end to the terrifying ant colony on Jeju Island, claiming victory and gaining a powerful new ally in the form of the Ant King, Beru, now a loyal shadow soldier. Following the aftermath, at the funeral of fallen hunters, Jinwoo revealed his plan to form his own guild. With newfound resolve, he soon stepped into uncharted territory, facing even greater monsters and beginning to uncover the true masterminds lurking behind the rising chaos. After clearing the first wave of magical beasts in the Red Gate, Jinwoo pressed forward with his summoned soldiers, advancing toward the next target. Then, the dungeon boss emerged. Flanked by his elite guards, he scanned the battlefield, searching for the one responsible for the massacre of his forces. His gaze locked onto Jinwoo, an overwhelming presence that sent a ripple of unease through him. But before he could even issue a command, a chilling realization set in. The battlefield was silent. His entire army, all of them, had already been wiped out. Jinwoo found the situation amusing. He commanded his shadow soldiers to reveal themselves, then, with a cold gaze, ordered them to eliminate the enemies standing before him. Jinwoo, along with his shadow army, marched forward, exuding an overwhelming aura that was impossible to ignore. Sensing the imminent threat, the magic beasts charged with ferocity, but they were no match. The battlefield descended into chaos as Jinwoo's forces brutally tore through their enemies, dismantling them piece by piece. The boss, now paralyzed with fear, could do nothing but watch as his forces were annihilated. His agonized screams echoed through the dungeon as he called out for his fallen subordinates, but none remained. In a final desperate attempt, the boss lunged forward, but Beru, moving at lightning speed, struck first. His claws pierced through the boss's body. Igris followed up, severing an arm in one swift motion. Tusk delivered the finishing blow, slamming the boss into the ground with overwhelming force. The entire battlefield trembled from the impact. As the dust settled, Jinwoo stepped forward. The boss lay in a pool of his own blood, barely clinging to life. Jinwoo demanded answers, but the creature remained silent. The system was likely interfering again, preventing it from revealing any crucial information. With a sigh, Jinwoo dismissed the thought. For now, he had something else to focus on. He opened his inventory and, with a focused expression, took out a key. It was the cursed random box key, a rare item he had obtained after defeating Baran in the Demon Castle. At the time, the key had offered no information, leaving Jinwoo puzzled about its purpose. But now, after reaching level 100 following his achievements in the Jeju Island raid, the required conditions had been met. The system had finally revealed the details behind the mysterious key. It was the key to the Kartanon Temple's gate. A message popped up, stating that the location of the designated gate would be revealed once the allotted time had passed. The name struck a chord in Jinwoo's mind, Kartanon Temple. A rush of memories flooded in. The double dungeon, the ancient temple at its end, the eerie stone statues, and the stone slate held by one of them. The pieces were finally falling into place. Jinwoo realized that the system was calling him back to where it all began. The very place that had set him on the path of a reawakened hunter was summoning him once more. But this time, it felt different. If everything had been orchestrated from the start, if the system had been waiting for his return, then Jinwoo knew he had to answer the call. The challenge had been issued once again, and this time, he was ready. With steely resolve, Jinwoo declared in his mind for the statue of God to wait for him, because he was coming. As Jinwoo stepped out of the Red Gate after clearing it, daylight had already broken. He began walking toward his car, ready to head to his guild office, when a man suddenly approached him, introducing himself as Adam White, a senior official from the Federal Bureau of Hunters. The man's presence hinted at something important. Curious, Jinwoo asked why he had come all the way from the United States to meet him. Adam responded with something that immediately piqued his interest. He had information that no other country or institution could provide. Adam explained that the Bureau made it their mission to share knowledge with special individuals like Jinwoo, and after his performance on Jeju Island, their interest in him had skyrocketed. But Jinwoo, skeptical, was ready to walk away, until Adam said one word: upgrader. That stopped him in his tracks. Adam offered to explain further, and the two drove off to meet the Bureau's deputy director. Upon arriving, Jinwoo was greeted by Michael Connor, the deputy director himself, who wasted no time getting to the point. He extended an offer, an invitation to join the American Hunters. Jinwoo, uninterested in their proposal, cut straight to the real reason he was there: the upgrader. Soon, a middle-aged woman named Norma Selner entered the room. Connor introduced her as the upgrader, the only person in the world capable of enhancing an awakened being's abilities. Miss Selner explained her powers, though Jinwoo remained skeptical. When he questioned the effectiveness of her ability, she claimed that an individual could experience a 20 to 30% increase in strength after completing all 3 stages. Connor emphasized that the Bureau was willing to grant Jinwoo this incredible gift, hoping he would accept. To prove her abilities, Miss Selner offered to perform the first stage right there. She gently took Jinwoo's wrist, instructing him to look into her eyes. Connor, watching closely, was certain that once Jinwoo experienced the upgrade firsthand, he would be eager to continue and sign the agreement. But what happened next left everyone in shock. As Miss Selner gazed into Jinwoo's eyes, she suddenly found herself consumed by an overwhelming darkness. She searched frantically, but saw nothing until a shadow emerged. It moved closer, revealing its terrifying presence as it opened its eyes and stared directly at her. Overwhelmed by fear, she screamed and fell off her chair, completely shaken by what she had seen. The 2 agents guarding Miss Selner instantly drew their guns, aiming at Jinwoo in a panic. Connor, alarmed by their reaction, quickly intervened, shouting for them to lower their weapons. He reminded them of who Jinwoo was, warning that if they had acted this way towards someone like Thomas Andre or Liu Zhigang, they wouldn't have lived to regret it. Realizing their mistake, the agents swiftly holstered their guns and rushed to assist the trembling Miss Selner. Connor turned back and bowed deeply to Jinwoo, apologizing profusely for his agent's actions. Still trying to process what had just happened, Jinwoo reassured him that it was okay. Connor rushed to Miss Selner's side, trying to understand what had happened. She could barely speak, her breathing unsteady. Seeing her distress, he quickly decided it would be best to reschedule their meeting with Jinwoo. Without hesitation, Adam escorted Jinwoo out of the room. Still struggling to catch her breath, Miss Selner finally managed to speak. To her, Jinwoo was no ordinary hunter. He was a king, a powerful king beyond anything she had ever encountered. Connor, trying to grasp the magnitude of her words, asked if this meant Jinwoo was as strong as a national-level hunter, but Miss Selner admitted that this wasn't something she could measure. What she had experienced went far beyond rankings or classifications. Still trembling, she described the sensation that had shaken her to her core. When she looked at Jinwoo, it wasn't just him she saw, but a presence within him, a force so deep and overwhelming that it had looked into her as she tried to peer into him. As fear gripped her, she shared one last chilling realization with Connor. There was no limit to Jinwoo's power. As Jinwoo left the room, the atmosphere remained tense. The Bureau had sought to recruit him, believing they could offer him something valuable. Instead, they had just uncovered something far beyond their understanding. The story then shifted to an earlier event in the timeline. The scene cut to America, where a hunter was trapped in a high-level dungeon. Fear gripped his face as a chilling presence emerged before him, Silid, the Frost Monarch who was on the hunt for the rulers within the country. A moment later, a gate opened behind him, revealing Yogumund, the Transfiguration Monarch. He hurried toward Silid, bringing urgent news about a small island to the east. Silid frowned, questioning why Yogumund was bringing up a place he had already claimed, as the island in the east was home to the Shadow Monarch. Yogumund explained that the rulers were attempting to free Legia, south of that location, and he needed to head there immediately. He urged the Frost Monarch to take his place in the east. But Silid pressed again. What about the Shadow Monarch? Yogumund reassured him that as long as the architect fulfilled the contract and everything would go according to plan. However, he also shared an intriguing detail that made Silid grin with excitement. The greatest fragment of light had been located in the east. Just then, the Frost Monarch sensed a powerful presence. A ruler had arrived. It was Song Il-hwan, Jinwoo's father. He had deliberately left traces of his power, luring the monarchs to America. His glare was filled with fury as he demanded to know if they were referring to Korea as the small island to the east. As they prepared to leave, the Frost Monarch confirmed it, taunting Il-hwan to chase them if he dared. Not one to back down, Il-hwan launched a swift attack, but Silid countered effortlessly, erecting a massive ice wall that exploded upon impact, shaking the entire area. Back in the present, Yu Jinho sat in the office, fully committed to his new mission, silencing anyone who dared to badmouth Jinwoo. After the Jeju Island raid and the controversy surrounding Jinwoo's involvement, he was determined to protect both his partner and their guild's reputation. Wasting no time, he meticulously went through each offending comment, reporting them one by one with unwavering focus. Just then, Jinwoo appeared silently beside him. The sudden presence startled Jinho, snapping him out of his concentration. Jinwoo casually asked if there was any trouble, but Jinho assured him everything was fine. That's when he noticed something unusual. Jinwoo was still in his hunter gear. Jinwoo explained that he had just returned from a gate, bringing back high-level magic cores to fund their guild. Hearing this, Jinho was both relieved and impressed. With such valuable resources, they wouldn't have to worry about salaries for future employees. Jinwoo, however, looked confused when Jinho mentioned employees. Jinho reminded him that they still needed one more member to officially establish the guild. But before they could dwell on it, another pressing issue came up: the guild's name. Jinwoo initially dismissed it as unimportant, but Jinho emphasized that a name would define their identity. As they debated potential names, a knock at the door interrupted their discussion. Jinho hesitated, curious about who could be visiting. As he creaked the door open, he froze in shock. Standing before him was Hunter Cha Hae-in. Jinwoo was just as surprised. Someone of her stature showing up at his office was completely unexpected. He asked what brought her there, and Hae-in, without hesitation, stated her reason. She wanted to join his guild. Jinwoo, puzzled by her request, sought clarification. It had only been 2 years since her awakening, which meant she was still under contract with the Hunters Guild. He assumed she wouldn't be able to leave so easily, but to his surprise, Hae-in was willing to pay the penalty to break her contract. What shocked him even more was that she expected nothing in return, not even a signing bonus or a salary. Jinwoo couldn't understand why she would abandon one of Korea's most powerful guilds for his newly formed, unproven one. Pressing further, he asked why she was making such a drastic decision. Hae-in hesitated. She lowered her gaze, struggling to put her feelings into words. She couldn't possibly admit the truth. After what happened in Jeju and how he saved her from the jaws of death, she wanted to be near him. But she couldn't say that. Instead, she composed herself and gave a made-up excuse. She simply wanted a simpler life. Jinwoo listened, understanding more than he let on. As an S-rank hunter himself, he knew the burden that came with it. But he wasn't about to let her join just like that. To test her resolve, Jinwoo introduced a guild entrance test. Hae-in was caught off guard, as there was no mention of a test in the recruitment notice. However, Jinwoo smoothly deflected, implying it must have been an oversight on Jinho's part. For the test, Jinwoo announced that she would have to face one of his summons, his strongest one. Yet, despite the unexpected challenge, Hae-in didn't even flinch. There was no fear, no hesitation. She was ready to take it on. Without wasting any time, Jinwoo suggested heading to the Hunter Association's gymnasium to conduct the test. As they prepared to leave, Jinwoo realized that the gymnasium was quite far from their office. He wanted to test if his shadow exchange skill could transport both of them together. He reassured Hae-in that there was no need for a long walk. They could take a shortcut, but she needed to stay close. As Jinwoo stepped toward her, Hae-in felt a lump in her throat. He was closer than she expected. Before she could process it, Jinwoo activated Shadow Exchange. In an instant, their forms sank into the shadows, vanishing from the room without a sound. As they arrived at the gymnasium, the lights flickered on automatically, reacting to their mana. The vast space was brightly illuminated, and Hae-in couldn't hide her amazement at what she had just experienced. She took a moment to take in her surroundings before her gaze finally settled on Jinwoo, who was already prepared to begin the test. Just as they were about to start, Hae-in realized she had left her weapon behind. Jinwoo pointed out that the gymnasium had reserve weapons, though they were mostly for training and not of the highest quality. Without hesitation, she examined the selection and chose a sword similar in weight and length to her usual one. Once she confirmed her choice, Jinwoo summoned Igris, the best swordsman among his shadow soldiers. While Beru was undoubtedly his strongest summon, Jinwoo knew unleashing him against Hae-in might be too much, potentially even traumatizing, so he settled on Igris for this test. Jinwoo explained the conditions. Victory would be achieved by destroying the summon, while defeat would occur if Hae-in surrendered. To make the fight fair, he retrieved the Demon Monarch's sword from his inventory and handed it to Igris. Without wasting any time, Jinwoo gave the signal, and the match began. Igris struck first, swinging the Demon Monarch's sword with deadly precision. A bolt of lightning shot toward Hae-in, crackling with immense power. She reacted instantly, dodging with cat-like agility as the blast struck the wall behind her, leaving a deep, charred mark. Jinwoo watched closely, impressed. A lesser hunter would have been fatally wounded if they had been even slightly grazed by that attack. Without losing momentum, Hae-in gripped her sword and charged forward. Her focus was unwavering, and Igris met her head-on. Their blades clashed, sending sparks flying, each strike resonating through the gymnasium. Jinwoo had expected a good fight, but as he observed the battle, he realized he had underestimated Hae-in. Despite wielding the Demon Monarch's sword, Igris was struggling. Hae-in's attacks were relentless, her technique refined and precise. With one final blow, she sent Igris crashing into the wall. The impact reverberated through the space, and Jinwoo knew the outcome was decided. Before Igris could rise again, he called off the match. But Hae-in wasn't satisfied. She stepped forward, her breathing steady, and questioned whether Igris was truly the strongest summon Jinwoo had. Her gaze was unwavering as she insisted on facing his strongest one now. Jinwoo hesitated, knowing exactly who she meant. He was concerned she might get hurt, but Hae-in's determination was absolute. She wasn't backing down. She wanted this fight. After a brief pause, Jinwoo finally agreed and, without saying another word, summoned Beru. The moment the shadow ant materialized, the atmosphere in the gymnasium shifted, but despite the crushing weight of his aura, Hien stood firm. Beirut, ever loyal to Jinwoo, awaited confirmation of his orders. Jinwoo commanded him to defeat Hien, but made one thing clear: she must not be harmed. With his mission set, Beru unleashed a thunderous battle cry that shook the gymnasium. His blade-like claws extended menacingly from his fingers, ready to strike. Just as the tension peaked, Jinwoo's stern voice cut through the silence, reminding Beru of his command.